So it was just a complete fabricated sort of agenda against me, predominantly because I've stood up to these people and they pumped all the resources they had nationally into Perry Barr. So you could see over the last week, I think it was getting very serious and I knew what I was up against. So, but therefore you continue and try your best.
One of the people who lost out because of an independent winning is Khalid Mahmood, who was the Labour MP for Birmingham Perry Barr, and he represented that seat for 23 years. He was beaten by an independent candidate, Ayoub Khan, with a tiny majority of 500 votes. So it's very decent of Khalid now, given what he's been through, to come on the programme and talk to us. Welcome to the show, Khalid.
Hi, Ed.
Well, tell us how you're feeling, because you have put in a very long shift, 2 decades in Parliament representing your seat. So let's start with the human side.
Well, first of all, I mean, obviously very tired at the moment, but, you know, it's been a privilege to serve the people of Perry Barr for over 2 decades. It's a fantastic group of people, all sorts of heritages and cultures mixed together. Fantastic place to represent. And I'm very privileged that I've had a chance to do that. On a personal level, as has been said before, I think we're all a bit tired after having gone through a fairly long campaign. And perhaps I'll take some time out now and consider what my next steps are.
When do you think, did you ever at any point think that your seat was under threat? Did you only kind of realise when you got to the count? At what point did you kind of consider actually things might not be going so well?
Well, I think basically what happened was that I've taken a clear position since 9/11 against some of these groups like MEND, 5 Pillars, and then lately Muslim Vote. And what they did was use a candidate, as in against Jonathan Ashworth, and also in Dewsbury, is to hype this issue up when I'd actually voted for the ceasefire and all of the issues relating to Gaza. So it was just a complete fabricated sort of agenda against me, predominantly because I've stood up to these people and they pumped all the resources they had nationally into Perry Barr. So you could see over the last week, I think it was getting very serious and I knew what I was up against. So, but therefore you continue and try your best.
So tell us what the implications are from your perspective, because you've got a front row seat, if that's not too insensitive of me to put it that way, in terms of this kind of growing movement. I mean, it would be completely wrong to say there is a Muslim vote in the UK, because the Muslim community, like any other community in the UK, votes for political parties that on a whole range of different issues. But is there now a sort of more organised political campaign, as it were, to get people elected on the back of a foreign policy issue like Israel-Gaza?
Well, you're totally right. In first instance, it is not a Muslim vote in the community. What I was referring to, an organisation has been set up calling itself the Muslim Vote, where a huge number of organisations, about 10 to 12 organisations on a national level, have got together and pressurised in constituencies, putting out, in most instances, untruths about the candidates that's standing there, and basically that agenda against the Labour Party, which they try to push, because I've been a staunch supporter and against these individual organisations, which have no real place in the British community. So they decided to put as much pressure as they can against me, and that's the result.
Do you think they're going to work together in Parliament?
Well, I don't know whether they can work together in Parliament or not. I'm not sure the scope of all these people. There's only 3 of them, I believe, in terms of the Gaza people. But that's fine. I mean, they have literally done nothing for Gaza themselves. And yet they criticize people like myself on the issue of Gaza, who I worked for in terms of Palestine, the 2-state solution, for almost over 30 years before I was in Parliament. But these people have used the heartstrings of the Muslim community and essentially has tried to blackmail them into this position. And that's where we are.
And so it's obviously too soon for you to even think about what you might do next. You said you were going to take some time out, but is there, you obviously care passionately about a whole range of different issues, having been an MP for 20 years. Are there particular issues you still want to kind of be involved in?
Well, certainly in terms of tackling these sort of people with a particular Islamist agenda, certainly I would keep that up. I've had a kidney transplant, so I'll still be very much involved in that. I have a huge interest in local government, which I'll keep up. And obviously, the whole idea is to spend a bit more time with my family, and I'll try to do a bit of that as well.
Well, that's great, Khalid, because, of course, local government is more important than ever. I mean, Birmingham City Council is in trouble, but also the rise of mayors. We've seen that actually power is maybe trickling down. Alicia, what do you think about what Khalid has said about what is this kind of organised campaign against him? It wasn't just, the way Khalid was talking, it wasn't just an individual randomly standing as an independent on this issue, but, you know, a more sophisticated campaign with resources from outside the constituency.
Well, I mean, I can't massively comment on that because I don't have all of the information about their campaign. But on a wider, more general point, what we've seen here with these independent candidates is a common cause, and that is the pro-Palestine stance. And I think I've even seen quite a lot of things online that are slightly misleading about Labour's stance on Palestine, that are very much suggesting that Labour have no interest in freeing Palestine or any interest in a two-state solution or anything like that, or a ceasefire, which actually is not true because they have changed and updated their position on that. So, I mean, I guess if that's anything to go by, then there might be some truth in what's just been said. But it's interesting to see just how much of an impact politicians' stance on this conflict has had at this election.
Yeah, it is a fascinating kind of subtext to this whole election, but not a subtext for Khalid Mahmood, who very sadly lost his seat, having represented it since 2001. And it's very decent of you, Khalid, to join us tonight, having not had much sleep and having had such a terrible shock. Thanks so much for coming on the programme. It's 8:15.